How did you get over suicidal thoughts? Serious? I joined the circus as a fire dancer. It sounds silly, but it completely changed my life. It made me outgoing. I felt useful and I had a hell of an icebreaker. I looked forward to going to practice and started making plans months ahead of time when I used to only think a week ahead at most. Developing a stage persona made me better at socializing with people, so I made friends more easily. Joining the circus not only made me a better person, it saved my life. I realized my unhappiness was sprouting from not doing things and avoiding people. So I started doing things, tried to be productive and not waste time on mindless internet scrolling, and most importantly started talking to everyone. Well, to be honest, by almost succeeding. I saw the repercussion of my actions in the faces of my friends and loved ones. I got to dwell on my choices and how they would affect others in between bouts of unconsciousness, while being life-flighted, while sitting in intensive care. There's nothing quite so eye-opening as seeing how devastated your loved ones are, and then realizing how much worse it could have been had you managed to succeed. I still have them sometimes. But I just remind myself that even though it doesn't seem like it, my daughter does need me. When it's really bad, I just tell myself my husband would never forgive me for doing that. I also make myself tell him when it's bad. It's hard, and one time it took 2 hours of me trying to tell him before I could get it out. Now though, he gets it pretty quickly when I tell him I'm having a really hard time and my mind is stuck in a negative loop. Just admitting to someone that I am having a hard time makes it feel immediately easier to deal with, because I'm not alone, and though my husband can't fix it for me, he's there and knows. I gave myself the condition that I wouldn't kill myself. I gave myself the condition that I wouldn't kill myself with conventional methods, but I'd rather do it by working towards my own happiness until it killed me. I essentially told myself to kill myself with kindness. I haven't gotten over my suicidal thoughts, but I adopted a dog, and she depends on me to survive. So now whenever I start thinking in those directions, I have a quick "I can't until after my dog dies" thing in my mind, and it kind of stops the suicide thoughts for a few hours, or even half a day. But there are times I did hugging my dog, crying cause I can't kill myself, CSUs, then she will die or have a bad life, and it's tough. For me, it probably has something to do with that one day in high school when 2 girls decided to spread the rumors going around about me to the front office. The rumors were that I wanted to come to school and kill everyone. Antidepressants. I had near daily suicidal ideation from literally the first time I heard about someone killing themselves, and realized it was an option at about 8 years old until I was about 29 and started on Wellbutrin. Lifestyle changes are great and all that. But for some of us it's just busted wiring in the brain. Prozac and Wellbutrin. They never go away entirely. Something bad happens, my mind is surprisingly adept at constructing an elaborate reason how this flat tire or bad performance review at work is going to lead to my death. But they are fewer and farther between. Basically, it's a matter of distracting myself and concentrating on my successes. Mine wasn't so poetic, just as it was being stubborn. I decided that if I killed myself, I was surrendering to death, and I simply decided I wouldn't allow that to happen. I turned them from a weakness to strength. I'm going to attempt to earn worth by helping people, but slaughter myself like a pig when I'm unable to do so. I just thought of all the things I hadn't done yet and wanted to do. I surrounded myself with people as much as I could. I figured if I didn't have a private moment, I wouldn't have an opportunity to kill myself. That was a temporary fix, but it worked until I got my depression medication straight. Add on some therapy and I'm in an infinitely better place now. I got a dog. I instantly had something to get up for in the morning. The things I had to do, walk it, feed it, etc., gave me something to do instead of laying in bed all day and or thinking. The stupid things my then puppy would do would bring me joy and laughter. This is just one of many things that I changed in my life, along with my job, my significant other, and my meds. It was a combination of many things. It was never just one thing that made my thoughts go away. It took a long time, But eventually I was able to take a step back and realize that these thoughts weren't my own. They were not me. This was back when my 3 closest friends nearly pushed me to suicide. I don't talk to them anymore. I talked to my dad about how I was feeling the night before. I didn't mention that I'd been debating how long it would last and how much it would hurt to take a shot in the head with the pistol he kept in the room I was sleeping in. I had told him that I'd wondered if anyone would miss me and that I felt alone. He let me lay in his bed for a while until I finally decided to get back up and go to bed. It was 2 in the morning on a school night, and needless to say, I didn't do well the next day. I was still unsure of myself after talking to him. I was afraid of what I might do to myself. Before, I'd never really understood what could make someone take their own life, but there's something about the first time I had those thoughts that made it very real to me. It made me realize that this wasn't something that just happened to other people, and I was very capable of hurting myself. My dad had a meeting to go to that would require him to stay overnight. He'd checked with me that morning and asked if I would be alright to be alone. My grandma was very sick at the time, and my mom was living with her to take care of her, so when he left for his trip, I really would be alone in the house. I thought to myself that I had no right to keep him from his work, so I lied and told him that I was feeling better and I'd be alright. When I got home from school that afternoon, his car was in the driveway. I asked him if he'd come home because he wasn't feeling well, but he said he was fine. Apparently he'd gotten about halfway to where he was supposed to go, then stopped, called his boss, and told her that there was something wrong with his daughter and he needed to go home. I'm still going through bouts of depression, but I can never say that nobody cares about me. This was a little over a year ago, and I'm fully convinced that the reason I'm still here is because he turned his car around. I knew I'd never see my mom, dad, sister, brother, dogs, etc. if I'd have died. And I love my family more than anything. I owe someone a sunset. My best friend used to be in a very dark place. She sometimes ends up back there, but it's nowhere near how it used to be. I always used to use the idea of a picture-perfect sunset to keep her talking and from hurting herself, just me and her sat on a beach watching the sun go down. It's become my saving hope too. I can't die as I would break the promise I made to her, to sit on a beach and watch the sun go down. Pure, unadulterated spite. And because the night I planned to end it, one of my friends decided to drop by because she was bored and knew that I was going to be alone for a few weeks. She walked in while I was tying the noose, real cliché I know, and she just stood there in the doorway and asked me if I was really stupid enough to something like, to hurt everyone who loved me, and I guess that brought me back into reality. As soon as she said that, I broke down and started spilling everything to her, spilled my heart out and my life story. Eventually, we got onto the topic of her and then we both had a little cry fest and we had some pity sex, and now we've been together for a few years. We plan on getting married when our life evens out and we tie up a few loose ends. Medication. It wasn't an instant cure, and I still have mental health problems that I seek treatment for, but it's been 6 years since I was last suicidal. I put it off until tomorrow. I'm 66, so it has worked pretty well so far. Who says procrastination is bad? Can't exactly afford $100 a week. In the darkest moments, I thought of the only person I cared about hurting, my best friend. She lost her best friend in a car accident when she was 5 years old. I've heard the story and read some of her earliest poems about him. The loss was palpable, even articulated by a girl in kindergarten. She and I have been best friends for nearly 15 years. I'm closer to her than any member of my family. She's the reason that I write and gave me the tools to cope with my bipolar disorder, even when I was too afraid to talk to her about it directly. To this day, I'm convinced I am alive because I didn't want to put her through the pain of losing her best friend again. Mine came about from the end of a relationship. Came real close twice, one of which my friend actually happened to be walking on the same beach I was sitting at with rope in my backpack and pictures laid out everywhere. Real close. I started fighting again, for sport. It gave me something to look forward to every night, training, pumped me full of endorphins, and the great thing about training is that no matter what, you're gonna make progress. And getting good at something takes your mind off the bad stuff. Maybe fighting isn't your thing, but surely there is something that you can invest a couple hours of energy into each day. Do that.